Sayo Knights, we are back with another Twisted Wonderlands episode. Episode 6 just came out, and it's just a continuation of what we were talking about last episode, with Riddle progressively becoming more and more unstable, more chaotic, and despite being the rule follower of the house, he's the house warden, the person who is making sure everyone abides by the rules. You can call into question maybe his methods, and maybe he's going a little bit too far, where now he's pushing everyone away. And you see this with like Trey mentioning, are you really happy with the way that this is being carried out, like with the comment from KK, right? And how he was like, are you sure you want Riddle to continue, ostracizing himself from the rest of the house because he is such a stickler for these rules? And look, I'm a rule follower. I agree you should have some amount of order, especially when you're a house warden or a person within a leadership position, right? For sure. But I feel like when you force the people who, that listen to you, that have to abide by your rules, it's just kind of you're put in a tough spot when you have to memorize 500 minor rules that can change based on time, change based on day, dealing with tarts with different flavors that some are acceptable during some times, while other tarts are not acceptable during these times. It's like, what is going on? Why is it so strict? And we're already seeing the fallout of sort of Riddle. And even though Riddle may have supporters right now, they support him out of fear. And you can see that, like, they just don't want to be attacked by Riddle and have their magic basically shut off from them. So that was a little bit of like an interesting like progression from last episode into episode. I actually thought though that Trey, because we talked about how great Trey was, I thought Trey was gonna confront the house warden, confront Riddle, and that was gonna be where Riddle blows up. But it seems that in actuality, he's trying to keep the peace. He's trying to stay neutral, and he thinks he's doing right, and he thinks that he is doing his best to make sure everyone is happy. And what's actually happening is he's actually just reinforcing what Riddle is doing, because he wants Riddle, because he and like I've said this before, but the thing that is most beautiful about this show that I am really gravitating towards is the character development. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like Riddle because I thought he had some very, very interesting interactions with Yuken and Ace and Deuce, especially with that, like, oh, you didn't sing to the hedgehogs, right, during this time. Like, you could already tell what type of person he was. But when we delve a little bit more into the backstory of Riddle, we get to see why he is why he does what he does. And it's more out of, this is what he was raised. It was a strict upbringing. He used to be like every other person, where he would be able to have fun, hang out with people without stressing too much about the responsibilities of, what his family expectations were. But then his mother was like, no, you have to follow these rules. You have to have a set schedule. You can only eat what I tell you. You sleep when I tell you. You hang out with friends when I tell you. And Riddle was actually covering for his friends at the time. So I thought that was sort of like a very human moment for Riddle, and it very humanized him a lot, as opposed to just seeing him as the strict house warden who's screaming at everyone, who hates everyone apparently, and hates how they always break the rules and how it's always tough for him because he always follows the rules. Why can't they? But you see a little bit more of you get a little bit more of an understanding of, this is not a good thing. This is something that was forced onto him, as opposed to him being a terrible person, right? It was sort of his upbringing that led him to this point in time. And we even see it with him being sort of like the overachiever that I think Riddle is these expectations being weighed upon himself he at age 10 got like his ultimate special ability or whatever they call it, right? At age 10, which some of them don't even know that and are already a part of the Night Raven College. They don't even have like a specialty move yet. So for Riddle to have such a powerful one at age 10, like that overachiever right there. But again, it's sort of this toxic mentality where it's like, yes, everyone wants success, right? But I feel like there are times, and this is a very important theme, I think, throughout this season, is going to be sort of Riddle. And how Riddle believes that no matter what amount of trauma, no matter the pain that you inflict on someone, not physical pain maybe, but the emotional damage you can create within a person, it's all worth it and excusable if it leads to guaranteed success. And because Riddle feels like he has come out the other end, you know, with discovering his special ability at age 10, now is elected House Warden, right? Like throughout that whole point, it seems like he in his head believes that he is doing what is right. And I think this is like what everyone's gonna try and wake him up to, especially Trey. I think Trey's gonna have like a big moment coming up in the next episodes because the focus is definitely on his past with Riddle and how it was his belief that, and this is where it's interesting, they're not all bad people. They're good people who have made some pretty bad mistakes. And I appreciate that. I really do. Because Trey's example, so Riddle may be overly strict. He may be a stickler when it comes to the minor details of how events should be run, how tradition should be followed. Very much a traditionalist in name. Like, if you look up traditionalist, Riddle would be appearing in the dictionary. That's how much he is. Trey, on the other hand, is very much he's a peacemaker. He's trying his best to make sure everyone is happy. He's not antagonistic towards Yuken and Ace and Deuce. He just wants to make sure everyone is happy and making sure that there is some amount of order, even if Riddle is going off the rails, even though Ace and Deuce are making mistakes, being troublemakers, you know. He's just trying his best to make sure that, you know, there is some stability. And I appreciate that. That's why I like Trey as a character. And I mentioned that before. But man, Trey, you gotta wisen up. Like, you can't have Riddle just be here, like, you know, off with your heads, throwing collars on pretty much everyone, where everyone just does not want to be part of the house anymore, where everyone is just unhappy. And the only people that tolerate it are people like him, like, who are trying to keep the peace, or people who are scared that they're gonna be attacked by Riddle. So I thought that was like such a funny moment to me, where I'm like, come on, Trey, you gotta wake up. This isn't right. Like, I understand why you make the decisions, but you gotta confront your friend. And I like how they pointed that out. It was his inaction that led Riddle to even go down like a much darker route, you know, than if his friend was there. Like if Trey was like, hey, I know how tough you have it. I'm going to be there for you. You can relax around me. Something as simple as that. Maybe we wouldn't have gotten to this point, but I think it was a very good point to note was, you know, all this craziness. And now that we have somewhat of a solution, is like, okay, Trey needs to wake up, and especially with the way the episode ends, right? Where it's like Ace and Deuce lose the duel. I thought they were going to hold out for a good couple minutes, especially because Ace has like a pretty sick power. Like he uses he's a pyro user, right? So I thought for sure he had it in the bag, right? He had like a good chance of defeating Riddle, and then that's when he would wake up. They lose in like 3 seconds. Like, I kid you not. They literally walk on. They have this spiel about, oh, I'm wearing his armor, Yuken's, his kendo mask. And that's just to show that we're going into battle to fight. And the conversation about that helmet lasts longer than the actual fight. Like, they were so cooked. So yeah, I was not expecting that. Oh, we do see the Cheshire Cat. So I thought Grim, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Grim was supposed to be the reference to the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, because, you know, this is the first season, and it would make sense. It would make sense because, you know, Riddle was a very important focal point in episode 1 of Twisted Wonderland, even though that was the prologue. Riddle was like the first interaction with Yuken, right? The first like important one. I thought Grim was supposed to be like a riff on, oh, this is the Cheshire Cat. Nope, that's a completely different character, and it's gonna be interesting to see. I already forgot his name, but I am interested to see where they take this character down the road, because he did give pretty solid advice about like, hey, you need to talk to Trey, because Trey's his childhood friend. Trey knows him best, and I think Trey is going to be the one that's actually going to step up, and it'll be a definitive moment where he's going to help wake up Riddle to be like, hey, relax a little bit, back it up. Maybe we should create an order of like, let's try and follow tradition, but don't be like, you know, you forgot to sing to the hedgehogs on this day, death sentence. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you made a mistake. Maybe you get like a penalty point or whatever, right? Maybe there is some consequence, but it doesn't need to be like death, right? You don't need to do that at all. But I just thought that was like really funny. It's just we got the Cheshire Cat, and I was like, I thought Grim was supposed to be the Cheshire Cat. And of course they do the funny like including meow in every sentence. So I've seen that in a couple of anime. I think it's like a fun anime trope that they do for feline type characters, humanoid cat characters. There we go. I did like Yuken here again. I think what is the most beautiful part about season 1 so far is I like how Yuken is a passive character for sure. He's not the focus of the story here. The focus is on the world and the characters that reside within the world, which is the houses, Night Raven Academy, Riddle, Ace, Deuce, KK, and Trey, right? They're the focus. They're the central characters here. But what I like is Yuken, like I said before, he's very much the straight man. He's like the common person who is very straight-laced in everything he decides, where it's, okay, I even think this is ridiculous. Like, I thought he was going to be quiet. I'm like, hey, settle down. Like, it's okay, Ace. But no, he straight up backed Ace. He's like, I'm with you. And when Deuce did it as well, I was so happy. I'm like, that's my trio. That's my trio right there. Sticking up for what they believe in, because, you know, no one else is speaking up. Trey should be speaking up here, but Trey is not, you know? So I'm glad we had that moment where it's like, it was like, I'm standing behind, which I still don't know why he has the collar around his neck, because it's not like he has any magic in the, I guess Grim, but Yuken doesn't have magic in the first place. So why did you have to collar him, you know? he can't use magic. So I thought it was so funny, where maybe it's just a sign of force to be like, Riddle's like, I'm gonna attack you, off with your head, you know? But Yuken does not have magic, so it doesn't do anything to him aside from maybe weigh him down. But we've seen he does kendo. He's strong, right? So I feel like it wouldn't even hinder him at all. So I have some predictions of where the next episode could go. Definitely focus on Trey and his development. We mentioned that. But I also feel like, well, they lost badly. Both Ace and Deuce in like less than 5 seconds. So I'm wondering if they're gonna allow this exception where it's like, what if Yuken can duel? You know, can Yuken step up and actually fight, or is it gonna be Trey? Like Trey or KK gonna be like, okay, we're gonna step in and help duel so we can change the rules, you know what I mean? But I wonder if is it even feasible, because they said you have to be a member, like a student, but I can't remember if it was a student of the house, which would make a lot of sense, or was it just a student? Because if it's a student, Yuken can absolutely challenge Riddle. And I think that'd be such a funny thing if he wins, because, you know, his kendo skills. Riddle's just trying to fire magic, and Yuken just comes out with his kendo stick and just starts whacking the absolute shit out of Riddle. You know what I mean? Just something stupid like that. I think would be really funny. But I don't know. I don't, and look, I've said this before, I don't play the games. I don't read the books. This is my first time being introduced into the world of Twisted Wonderland, so I genuinely don't know what is going to happen. I will say the headmaster is one of my favorite characters, not only just design wise with the crow mask, but I just love how he's just an instigator. He just loves to create chaos in like the best ways possible, where he's like, oh yeah, if you guys go into the mine and find this magic, so I'll let you back for sure. I won't tell you about the dangers, but go ahead and do that. Or, you know, him being like, oh yeah, guys should just duel the house warden. Why not? I know you guys are first years. You're probably not as strong as Riddle, but do it. It'd be great. You know? But honestly, I am curious to see how this is going to resolve, because I could see it going one of two ways. They do the duel, which they already lost their first bout, right? So either Yuken or Trey's gonna duel, and they're gonna win. And what's gonna be interesting is to see, is Yuken gonna become the new house warden, or Trey gonna become the new? That's probably gonna be more likely. Is Trey gonna be the new house warden of the house? I don't know why I said house twice. Because if he does, and then Riddle can like relax a little bit, that'd be such a cool twist, where even though Riddle is very much he screams theming wise, yeah, he belongs to the Queen of Hearts faction, you know what I mean? But I think it'd be fun if he gets demoted and then learns to be like, okay, I can relax now, I can be more chill, because now I don't have the weight of the world, I don't have it on my shoulders, and I have less responsibility, so I can relax and have fun. You know what I mean? That would be an interesting twist. I don't think it's gonna happen though. I think they're more gonna wake him up, and he's gonna come to terms that, you know, maybe the way that he approached situations was not the best, right? But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with that resolve, because it could be like Trey can take over, or maybe it just goes back, or the Cheshire Cat, right? Whatever his name was, that appeared in this episode. Maybe he can take over, but I'm sure the reason why he disappears is because there's something going on that he's just not in the focus of the story right now, and doesn't want to be seen, right? That's the big thing. But it'll be interesting to see how this wraps up. We're on episode 6 right now. There are 2 more episodes, so a lot can happen, because I'm pretty sure I looked it up. It is, I think, 8 episodes a season, which makes me sad, because I wish I could do more videos on this before the big break. But I'm glad they're working on season 2. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm curious to see the direction they go with this story. I'm very curious to see if Riddle will wake up, and I want to know what this the big thing they're hinting up to is like these black water droplets, or this darkness that keeps dropping on his wand, that is like turning the red color more faded, darker. What is that, right? Oh, and then the big thing I missed. Why is Yuken having all these flashbacks to Alice in Wonderland, like the original animation, right? These stills. Why is that happening? Like, is he getting visions? Is it because he's in this world where he's now seeing it from a media perspective, where it's, oh, I kind of know the backstory of Alice in Wonderland, you know? And it's him as a human outsider being exposed to this, right? So that's going to be interesting. And also, the big thing for me is the history. Like, how did we get to this point from the Queen of Hearts, because the Queen of Hearts must have had gained her power, right, and maintained her power years later. Well, how? Like, what happened to the Queen of Hearts? What happened to the kingdom, right? How were they able to establish paradise when these villains, you know, succeeded, right? So those are questions also in the back of my head that we may get answers to, or maybe not, or maybe they hint at it and it's more we can assume to a certain point, but we will never actually know. And maybe having that being open-ended will be fun, but that's just something I want to keep my eyes peeled for. But what did you guys think of episode 6? I know I did a lot of rambling, but there was a lot that went on, especially with Riddle blowing up, going crazy, and I thought Ace and Deuce had a chance, at least a fighting chance, you know, instead of like getting 1-2 hit down for the count, not getting back up, you know. So we'll see what eventually comes about this situation. But if you like this type of video, if you want to see more, I do Twisted Wonderland. We'll do episode 7 and 8 when they come out, and maybe a big announcement for when the season 1 ends in the meantime, to fill that time between season 1 and season 2, that gap that's gonna happen. Who knows? But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next Twisted Wonderlands video. Thanks for watching.